accidents are terrifying experiences. You're hurt, and you need someone on your side who understands. Call the Advocates. They have over 20 years experience with accident cases and have recovered settlements for hundreds of other motorcyclists. They can handle the medical bills and deal with the insurance company so you can focus on recovering and getting back on your bike. The Advocates are my motorcycle attorneys.
You deserve clear, risk-free advice to help get you back on your feet. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show, Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. As always, The Monty Show is presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Terrible auto accident Sunday night on the 15 here in the city of Salt Lake. Actually, it would be Draper. You guys, it happens every day. People do not drive safely. If you get into an accident, if somebody hits you because they were driving recklessly, if your life is forever altered, not through your own doing, you're riding your bicycle, your motorcycle. What if you get hurt at work today? What are you going to do when you get hurt on the job site today? Are you going to trust your boss who, oh, we got you. We're going to take care of your job. Will be here. We'll pay you while you're out. How do you know? Yeah, you know because you have the advocate standing right next to you fighting for what you deserve. You should be able to heal yourself and rest without having to worry about, hey, how am I going to pay my rent or my mortgage? How are my kids going to eat? That's why you go to the advocates. You get really, in my opinion, the best level of service in all of the injury attorney business, because trust me when I tell you they are not all created equal. Please do not trust your insurance company. Trust the advocates. They've seen it all. They've done it all. And the best part is they're never going to ask you to write them a check. You're never going to reach into your pocket to pay the advocates. That's right. You don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. Chat with an injury attorney live online for free at theadvocates.com. 24/7, 365. Well. Jake decided to come to work today.
Yeah, I'm back. Aren't you guys excited?
Oh,
you miss me?
Not really.
Okay, great.
Now
excellent.
Great. And now you sound like you're congested. You're sick again.
No, I'm actually not sick.
Okay, great. No. Jake, do we need to get another COVID test?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Nope.
Jake goes to Disney World and all of a sudden he comes back and he's all nasally and I'm supposed to feel like that's fine.
Right.
Okay, great. A lot to get to on the show today. I want to get right to work on this story because I think this is a big one. We have the exclusive on it. Without further ado, the Pac-12 is being very aggressive in expansion. And I've told you now for the better part of 2 weeks since this story really got rolling, that the Pac-12 was going to target the AAC. I think we all knew that. But we were first and now confirmed that Tulane is one of the leading targets for the Pac-12. I think this is a very obvious choice. Tulane is an institution of higher learning. It aligns very much with where the philosophical, minds are in the Pac-12. They want athletics, but they also want academics. And it would seem that Tulane fits that bill. But now we have this emerging picture of the Pac-12 that probably is not the most flattering picture because you have the Pac-12 absolutely decimating the Mountain West Conference last week in what was, I think, the biggest story of the week. And arguably, it might be the biggest story of the year, as you now know that the Pac-12 has added Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and San Diego State, in addition to already having Washington State and Oregon State. And the question now becomes, what's next? Well, we know that's a death knell for the Mountain West. Where does the Mountain West go? We don't know. But what we know is the Pac-12 is targeting the AAC. And the AAC yesterday, in a statement you're going to see here in a minute, essentially came out and said, we are doing everything we can do to survive. And I'm told by sources close to the situation that the AAC is very well aware that this is coming. And they have actually closed ranks, including Tulane. And they are now selling their membership from the conference leadership level down to the membership. They are selling this idea that they are going to be the most advanced G5 conference. Things like, hey, we're going to bring in private equity. We are going to be creative in the branding and marketing front. That the G5s have to operate on a different level, even though they cannot compete with the P4. They have to operate like the P4. And the AAC is attempting to be a leader in that space. And essentially the phrasing that was used to me was Pac-12 be damned. The AAC believes that they can be in a leadership position for the group of five. But make no mistake about it. I think the messaging that is coming through here is everybody in the G5 now views the Pac-12 as a predator. And Jake, I can't say that I disagree with that viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them at all for having that viewpoint. I mean, how would they feel any differently? How would they feel like the Pac-12 was trying to help them when the Pac-12 is clearly not trying to help them? And I think, the big thing here is for the Pac-12 at least is if you're going to go out and, you're going to take these teams from different, group of five conferences, like Tulane as an example, you need to make sure that you get it right. And I do think if they were to add Tulane, that would be getting it right. Obviously, Tulane has had some pretty good success when it comes to winning bowl games against, at that time, Power 5 competition in USC. Obviously, Tulane is certainly one of the better group of five teams on a year in and year out basis.
Right,
and so, I feel like Tulane's a great target. And I think, unfortunately for college football, the group of five has no other choice but to position itself in a way where they're basically saying, hey, like, as he was saying, like, hey, we have to close ranks. We got to keep it tight knit. Like, we got to do everything we can to survive. And I think the natural progression here, assuming that, schools like Tulane get added and we see this process play out the way we think it will, the next natural progression of this would very simply be consolidation at the group of five level, meaning, obviously the Mountain West is decimated. They're looking at their options. If the American were to lose, Tulane, and then let's say another conference lost one of their premier schools, at that point, then the group of five has to kind of get together and say, hey, like, what do we want this to look like? Is the Mountain West and, the American gonna merge, let's say? Are we gonna get, some shuffling of schools? Like, how do we balance all this? Because we can't have a conference in the Mountain West out here with, 6 teams or whatever. That's not going to work for anybody. So I think that's the hard part, is that the group of five is sitting here, having to deal with the Pac-12 trying to reboot itself and expand after already having dealt with, the NIL settlement situation that we talked about so much, and it feels like the group of five is basically just having to play defense constantly against the power conferences. And while that is the reality of it, I think it's an unfortunate situation because there is no real way out or real way to kind of change that dynamic. You're just simply going to have to make the best of it.
Well, I think this is a little different as well, because now you're feasting on each other. And I could tell you, talking to sources around college football, there's a lot of people in the G5 footprint that are very unhappy with the Pac-12. And there is some frustration, and there is a belief that the Pac-12 is cannibalizing its friends. Certainly the Pac-12, I don't know, is cannibalized strong. That's the word that was used, to me. But there is a belief that the Pac-12 violated an unspoken code when they went and absolutely decimated the Mountain West. And most people believe that the Pac-12 should have, and I don't know if should have not taken advantage of the Mountain West. There is some belief that the Mountain West opened its arms to the Pac-12 in a time when the Pac-12 had no friends and had no allies. The Pac-12 went to the Mountain West and essentially said, hey, hat in hand, we need some help. And the Mountain West answered that call for help. And the Pac-12 repaid the Mountain West by decimating them with expansion. And I think the Pac-12 had no other choice. The Pac-12 tried, as we reported exclusively on this show last week. The Pac-12, through Scott Barnes, who pretty much confirmed our reporting with his statement last week, the Pac-12 tried multiple times in the last 6 weeks to create a relationship with the Big 12. but was unable to do that, according to our sources. And I think that the UConn story that we talked so much about on this show really was something of a wake-up call for the Pac-2 and got them moving because, again, as we reported on the show, the Big 12 told the Pac-2, no, thank you, but no thanks. And then turned around and this news broke that UConn and the Big 12 were having conversations. And that really set off some alarm bells in Corvallis and in Spokane. And it got the Pac-2 working, and their focus almost became, very clearly on adding these 4 members. And I think had there not been some sort of handshake agreement, I think we would have seen UNLV and others. I think we would have seen them in the Pac-12. I have no doubt about that we would have seen more attrition from the Mountain West to the Big 12 or to the Pac-12. Had there not been some kind of conversation, which I'm told is still happening behind the scenes, saying, wait, let's slow our roll. We need to negotiate this because the Mountain West was on the verge of imploding on itself with just these 4 schools going to the Pac-12. Had you lost UNLV and UNR, Nevada, Reno, which are the other 2 I think would have wound up going, that would have been an absolute death blow to the Mountain West, even more than losing the 4 that you lost. Adding those 2, UNLV and Reno, I think would have absolutely been a death knell that would have ended that conference. And I think Gloria Nevarez has shown some real tact here, has shown some real fortitude here, because she's, for now anyway, staved off more attrition through negotiating. And I do believe at some point in time, UNLV does end up in the Pac-12. I don't see any other way that happens because, frankly, I don't see any way the Mountain West survives in its current form. And if, in fact, they do merge, and again, I was told yesterday, Conference USA and the Mountain West seem like very natural partners for a merger. If that, in fact, happens, I believe you are going to have more attrition, and I think you're going to see Nevada and UNLV going to the Pac-12. But that will not stop the Pac-12, because I think the Pac-12 very clearly wants to get the 10 teams as soon as possible, and I think this is where Tulane comes in, and I think this is where UTSA comes in, because as we've talked about, I think the Pac-12 took a long, hard look at logistics, and that's why USF is not in this conversation. I think if the Pac-12 could make things equal, I don't think there's any doubt they would love to have a pipeline into South Florida, but that's not going to happen at this point. I think what you are likely to see, based on what my sources are telling me, you are likely to see Tulane and UTSA be the focus of Pac-12 expansion. While at the same time, I think they are negotiating and having conversations with the Mountain West about how to tidy up and end this interaction that they've had, this what now can only be believed as a disastrous relationship, a scheduling agreement that's turned into absolute poaching of Mountain West members. I think that's where you're at here, and I think if we've learned anything from the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, the AAC has to be aggressive here. And Ross Dellinger put out a statement from AAC Commissioner Tim Pernetti yesterday. And I don't know how you read this any other way than to say we know what's coming and we're not going to stand by and watch it happen. Tim Pernetti said, quote, "The American Conference is pioneering brand firmly grounded in grit and hard work with powerful and prestigious member institutions. In the past 5 months, we have prioritized seizing every opportunity that enhances value for our member institutions and student athletes. Whether through private capital, naming rights, innovative partnerships, or realignment, we have proactively assessed each opportunity and are prepared to collaboratively take action steps to be in the forefront of success and sustainability." Tim Pernetti, the commissioner of the AAC. I don't think there's any doubt that we are watching a new G5 landscape emerge.
Well, I think that, the negotiations falling apart between the Mountain West and the Pac-12 is something that if I'm the American, I'm sitting there saying, okay, we can't allow ourselves to get into a vulnerable
No,
position
you
with
know
the
what they're
Pac-12.
saying? Uh-oh.
Yeah, right.
That's
Like
what they're saying.
we're hitting the panic button on some level. We're hitting
Yes.
the like
Yes.
battle stations. Hey, we need to be prepared. And I think the one point that really stands out to me in terms of like where the Group of Five conferences are at, and where their commissioners are kind of at when they look at this is this whole thing where the Mountain West was negotiating with the Pac-12, and when the Pac-12 came hat in hand and said, "Hey, we need help," the Mountain West says, "Yeah, sure, we'll try to help you." And I think that at that time that was a noble thing to do, but at the same time, you knew that as a Group of Five, conference in the Mountain West, there were risk involved with that because you knew inevitably the Pac-12 was going to have to do something. They were going to have to take a step to get back to prominence, to get back to relevancy, to just simply get back to being a conference by NCAA standards, right? 8 teams by July 2026, I believe it is. So, if you're the Mountain West and you're negotiating that, I hesitate to think that Gloria Navarez didn't consider that. In fact, I'm very sure she considered that. But it's kind of amazing to me that the Mountain West would feel victimized here, because when you try to negotiate with someone who stands to gain more than you do, we've seen this so many times. The person who stands to gain less typically loses more, right? The Mountain West was fine. The Mountain West didn't need the Pac-12. Like, regardless of what San Diego State and Wickerville wants to tell you, the Mountain West was perfectly fine, right? There was, let me retoken my phrase, there was enough butter for all the toast in the Mountain West at $3.5 million for each school. And so for me, I just feel like, yes, the Pac-12 rated the Mountain West. And yes, if I'm the American, I'm sitting here saying like, hey, we need to be real careful. We need to be very much on the same page as a conference. And we need to be very prepared for Tulane to go ahead and leave our conference. But what we can't have is Tulane leaves and then several other schools panic and are looking at other options. What needs to happen is, hey, okay, Tulane, go and do you, cool, but the rest of our conference stays intact. And then we look at adding either some type of merger or like, some type of, again, adding another school or whatever the case might be. But I'm just telling you, the Mountain West situation and the way that went down is absolutely a, sort of this benchmark in time, this timestamp where Group of Five conferences are not going to allow that they're not going to continue to allow that to happen, because at some point, if you just continue to allow this to happen, you're not going to have a Group of Five. You're not going to have, a structure for the lower end schools to play within. You're going to have a Group of Three. Like what? I mean, what does it even look like?
I think consolidation is real, and I think that you have to do it. You have to do it. And what other choice do you have? Because the Pac-12 is not going to operate like a G5. They're not. They're not used to operating like a G5. You have an operator like Scott Barnes, the athletic director at Oregon State, who carries considerable water in that town. He's not a G5 operator. That guy is a power player.
And he's on a mission, man.
Yeah, and as I've said before, I have immense respect for Scott Barnes. I've watched what he built at Utah State. I've watched what he's built in Corvallis. I don't think there's any doubt that Scott Barnes has grander plans than the G5. And if I were the AAC, I'd be really worried about this, because I think Tulane is the only option on the other side of Texas. And with all due respect to Memphis, because how many Memphis people were in my mentions yesterday?
Oh, Monty.
You're selling us short. The plain and simple truth is, and get ready for pissed off, Phil, because every time we bring up academics, I was looking at the profiles of Memphis and Tulane academically yesterday. Do you guys understand that 97%, I believe it is, of applicants at Memphis get in? you're going to have to be really not very good to get into Memphis. You're going to have to, you may be on parole. You might have failed 9 of 10 classes. I don't know what it would take for you not to get in at Memphis versus Tulane, who only allows 11% of applicants in. You know, it's difficult. That means it's difficult to get in at Memphis. The academics are completely different. And what's a flight from Corvallis, where I think you probably fly out of Portland? I've never flown to Corvallis, so I don't know. But I would assume you go to Portland. Portland to Memphis is 5 and change.
Yeah.
Portland to New Orleans is 5 and change. It's the exact same distance. They're almost on a north and south line of each other. You're going to take Tulane.
And I think you make a great point. The Pac-12 is not going to make a habit of going much past Texas. And I
just don't think you can.
Well, and I think that, you know, the Pac-12, one of their weaknesses in this expansion process is obviously going to be, you know, cost, right? Like, hey, we have to mitigate as much cost as possible because we're going to need a higher level of profitability in these first few years to really, you know, build that foundation and that base. And, you know, I think about where the Pac-12 was in the Larry Scott years and obviously the Kliavkoff years. Like, you had a lot of money sitting in the coffers. You did. You were in a fine spot. Like, you could have, and albeit obviously I wasn't thrilled with, you know, the media situation, that the media rights situation they had and all that good stuff. But ultimately you were fine. You were going to survive. You were going to keep going. And I think that's a reality that they're now facing. And I think when we talk about Scott Barnes, like, I am at least happy now that it seems like Scott Barnes is really sort of kind of taking that role of front man. Like, he's not the commissioner per se, but you hear from him more now. You see him kind of stepping into that light, if you will. And I think that if Scott Barnes is one of the leaders of this conference, I think they're already miles ahead of where they were with prior leadership. And that, to me, you know, while is a good thing for the conference itself, I think if you're, again, the American, the Mountain West, you know, anybody else, like you understand that those are some tough customers that you're going to wind up dealing with. And I'm not so sure you're excited about that.
No, I, in fact, know you're not excited about that. And I think you just continue to look at what value the academics play in these decisions. And I can get on with the fact that, you know, you look at the teams that have been at it already. It's not like Boise State is an academic juggernaut, right? I mean, Boise State's in the 300s, I think, nationally.
But you look at these schools and you can say, okay, Boise State, we're not adding them for academics.
No.
We're adding them because obviously they're a premier G5 brand.
Regionality, their location, is absolutely important. Their status as a team that's been on the cusp of being a power program for how many decades now? Their investment in facilities, like, it's if you can add Boise State, you're adding Boise State. It's a no-brainer.
Yep.
And I also think the same thing with Colorado State and Fresno State. San Diego State gives you Southern California, right? So you've made, I think the right word is you've made compromises. But now if you start looking at, again, I just look at Memphis. Memphis is slightly better than Boise State. They're at least top 300. Tulane's 73rd nationally in academics. You're taking Tulane. If you add Tulane and then you add UNLV and Nevada, Reno, and because I do think there is a debate, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know the answer to this question. There is a debate about whether or not UNLV can leave this stupid Calamoni question. Can they leave Nevada behind? And I don't know the answer to that question. I don't. I've talked to 5 people who all have different opinions on it.
Right.
Yeah. And I think most people believe they could, but they won't.
Well, what's the obvious difference, though? See, and this is the inconvenient truth for the group of 5. UNLV is not in the same position that, Calford's in or UCLA is in when it comes to the relationship with the state school, in the area. UNLV is not making, $150 million a year on football. And so when we talk about, again, whether they should have to bring, Reno along or not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they should have to do anything, mainly because they're not making enough money to bring them along. And that's the unfortunate part of it. I don't think that we should be saying to group of 5 schools, hey, like if you get to this, if UNLV gets to this better opportunity, then they have to bring this school with them who has done what? I mean, obviously Nevada has some appearances in the tournament. You hear about their football program from time to time, but it's not like you're like, man, we got to have that.
Got to have it.
Right? Like that's not who they are. So I don't know. I think that dynamic is different at the group of 5 level than it is at the power level. And that's unfortunate, but I just think that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think, again, I've been told very directly Tulane, UTSA are 2 very big targets for the Pac-12, and that they want to get to 10 as quickly as they can. With the next 4 that they add have to be rock solid. And I think that it is in their edicts that they want academics to be a priority with their membership. And I think absolutely Tulane, UTSA adds that. I mean, you look at state schools. I mean, hell, San Diego State's a pretty strong academic university. Fresno State, that's another 95% of applicants getting in.
Right.
But you understand the value that the Boise States and the Fresno States bring. You have to have Fresno State because you're trying to save cost in here at some point. And they're perfectly located. You look at if you just look at these 6 universities, that regionally speaking, travel is not arduous. Time away from campus is not arduous. This does not stress your academics. None of that. And it's why I say, I don't think they want to go to Florida.
Right.
I don't think they want to go to Florida. For that exact reason. I just think it's too much of a stretch.
Well, and maybe, it's funny how things work out. Like maybe the Calford situation with them going to the ACC, maybe that's the one thing that does hold this upstart Pac-12 conference back from getting a power conference designation. Because if that graphic that they had put out with the Pac-12 insignia and the schools at the bottom included Cal and Stanford, we would be having a very different conversation about how this conference is perceived. Because at that point, then you've got 4 schools who obviously
that's a different conversation,
are really top notch academically. It goes without saying with Stanford and Cal, it's one of their biggest pieces of value. Obviously Oregon State is really good academically. And then you have Washington State. So that would have been a really nice foundation. And part of me wonders when we talk about academics, if you're Cal and Stanford, obviously there's not a way out of that grant of rights. Like we've covered that. We've been over it. It's very straightforward. So if the ACC thing blows up inside of the next 5 years, is that the thing that kind of pushes this conference to the next level after this initial wave? Because they're going to need some help of some variety. Something's going to have to happen, in my opinion, for them to get to the power conference level again.
But what is the elephant in the room that we haven't talked about yet? And I know I talked a lot about it last week. The elephant in the room here, you also got to sell a TV contract.
Yeah.
And when you look at New Orleans, San Antonio, and Las Vegas, you can sell that. You can sell that. I can sell San Diego and Southern California. I can sell as much as I probably don't want to. I can sell the mountain region. I can go from Corvallis to Spokane to Boise to Colorado State. I can sell that.
Right.
I don't know that going to Florida is offset by TV money offsetting the rigors of that travel. I just don't think it does. And if I can get Tulane and their academics and New Orleans, which is already a pretty strong sports market, if I can get San Antonio and I can put my foot in the state of Texas, that's a win. And again, I think if you can build yourself a home in Las Vegas instead of the exorbitant costs of San Francisco, which were an absolute anchor around the neck of this conference,
Facts.
I think you're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not?
Well, and you got to, again, not that Las Vegas is Big 12 country, but I'm telling you, you cannot allow Brett Yormark in the Big 12 to really get a strong foothold in Las Vegas. Like, that can't happen.
Well, and I also think I had a very interesting conversation yesterday about why this new Pac-12 is different. And I do think it's very, very different. The days of Carol Folt absolutely taking her thumb and putting it in your areas of unspeakability to go to the Big Ten.
Hugh Janus.
I think those days are over.
Right.
You have 2 universities and 2 presidents and athletic directors that are very much aligned in the idea that this is not the old Pac-12, that we're not going to do business the way that this conference had always done business. And I think that's incredibly important. I think that's really, really important, because if you continue to do things the way you've always done things, you can expect the same result. If you want a different result, you've got to do different things, and you've got to do it a different way. And I think that's what you're looking at in the Pac-12. That this group that's running this conference is not running it the way that it always has, in any way, shape, or form.
Completely agree.
And I think that is a very big difference. And I think when you look at the universities that were added here, I think there is very clearly an understanding that, yes, academics are a priority, but we need Boise State.
Yes.
Yes, academics are a priority, but we need UNLV. And we need Fresno State. And we need Colorado State.
Because what you need to do here to really light this conference on fire is you need to win football games, and you need to be going to a lot of bowl games just as a conference. Like, it would be nice if it wasn't just, Oregon State, Washington State, and Boise State. It'd be nice if, UNLV and Colorado State, and it'd be nice if.
But it would also be nice if you had tournament shares, which is why it's a shame you can't go get a Florida Atlantic.
Right.
Which is a bummer, because NCAA tournament shares are really, really valuable. And I know people keep telling me, Monty, this is a football move. I don't disagree with that at all. But where the, hey, Monties go out the window is those NCAA tournament shares are absolutely vital for San Diego State's viability, for Florida Atlantic's viability. It's absolutely vital, because you're not going to get, and as much as this pisses Pac-12 people off, you're not going to get access to the college football playoff, because you're not a power conference. You potentially every year, if the Pac-12 continues to build and move, and you add Tulane and UTSA, and let's say you get UNLV and UNR or another Mountain West university, you're still only likely to get one team every year potentially that has a chance maybe to go to the college football playoff.
And that's why I say, obviously the college football playoff is the goal, but I think if I was in the meeting, if I was Scott Barnes, if I was, any type of leadership in this conference, my messaging would be, hey, we need to go to bowl games. Just as a conference, our baseline of success is 6 wins on the football field. That has to happen in the early stages here, because at least then we get the bowl money. And then, hey, if we can get San Diego State or Oregon State, Oregon State's probably the better example, popping off and getting into the college football playoff, great. We can build on that. But what you can't have is you can't have a bunch of teams, going 5-9 or whatever, 5 and, whatever it would be, looking terrible. You can't have that. And that's why I think it was so fascinating that at the beginning of the year, you have Boise State talking about how we're not out here trying to add people just so they can make money, and trying to copy Brian Kelly. you can't have any of that nonsense anymore. Like, the Pac-12 needs to move forward and be positive and be forward thinking. And I think they're doing a good job of that so far. But again, as usual, the proof is in the pudding on the football field.
I also think, very interestingly, this is why you don't make a hasty move, SMU, Cal and Stanford, and these hasty moves that we've seen that have cost these universities so much money. Gonzaga comes to mind. Gonzaga, as we've talked about, they have an open invitation to join the Big 12 anytime they want. Have they taken it? They have not taken it. Why? Well, because they have a good existence in the WCC. They're guaranteed a tournament spot every year.
Yep.
Which is all they care about in Spokane at Gonzaga, because that's what they do is they play basketball. And imagine what the Pac-12 would give to get a university like Gonzaga into their fold. What would they give?
A lot.
A lot.
Especially when you consider the fact that Gonzaga has the open invite to the Big 12.
A lot.
You know.
And I think it's why you very carefully consider, was it a mistake for Cal and Stanford to go to the ACC? It wasn't. It was a solid decision. Did they make it in haste? They did.
Yeah, they panicked a bit, no doubt.
If they could unwind that watch, would they? I don't think they would. I don't think they would. But if you're SMU, are you thrilled to be in the ACC making zero TV money? You're probably not. You're probably not. It's a loss leader at this point. You're probably not. Do you want to be a power school? You do. So is there give and take? And if you're sitting at a table with all the SMU power players, there's probably debate over it.
Yeah.
And half of them would be like, yeah, I love where we're at. The other half would be like, better drill more oil, dude. Right? I mean,
that's the truth. Yeah.
Did you guys see that pipeline fire in Texas? Get ready to pay more for gas. But my point is, I think it is that the universities that are in a position to wait and be patient always win.
Yeah, and I think they're learning lessons from Cal and Stanford. You know, I because again, I always point this out. The big thing with schools like Cal and Stanford is they have the staying power. They have the fortitude to make decisions like that quickly and move on it. And SMU doesn't have that kind of, bandwidth, if you will, financially. Like Tulane doesn't have the option to make a mistake here. And that's where, again, that's where I think it's a very slippery slope if you're a school looking at joining the Pac-12. Like, the question obviously is going to be, hey, we're on our current path. Does the Pac-12 path look better in 5 years than our current path? If we think it does, then we'll probably join. If we don't, then we'll sit.
I don't know how you make that decision.
Yeah, that's a really tough thing to do.
Because if you're Boise, haven't you always been pointing yourself at a power spot?
Yes.
But can you afford to do what SMU did? You can't. You just can't. You don't have that kind of bread, dude. And I look at Oregon State. Beautiful research stadium. Beautiful. Can they afford to do what SMU did? They can't. Like, it's rough. It is very difficult to find yourself in these positions and make pragmatic and practical decisions that's for the best of your university, not your football program or your athletic department. What's best for your university.
And we haven't even gotten into guys like Jonathan Smith who left their current situation because they could see the writing on the wall.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I think I'd rather be at Oregon State than Michigan State.
I would agree. But again, when it comes to access and things like that, I mean, you can make a pretty compelling case that, it is Michigan State, but if you could get something going there, path's a little easier, it seems like.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting. Let's get to your comments here on the Monty Show, as always, presented by our good friends at Prize Picks. Oh, Kirk Cousins came through last night. Kirk Cousins.
Did you take good old, Mr. Achilles repair, not 100% outside the pocket, but 100% in the pocket guy?
You're goddamn right I did. Yes, I did. And I would like to point out, and I didn't get to it yesterday. I failed you. Because I didn't, as much as I espouse my awesomeness on Prize Picks,
right, I
was too busy crying like a little child about my losses in Prize Picks to tell you that Kirk Cousins was 220 on yards passing last night, but it was 1 touchdown. So he was 0.5 touchdowns last night.
Gimme.
So I took the touchdowns instead of the yards, and he threw 2 touchdowns last night. Bless you, sir.
Boom.
Saquon last night. God, how did he drop that pass?
And we need to get to that later.
And we
in the
will.
show.
We will. We'll rip Nick Sirianni in due time.
An Eagle fan.
Saquon Barkley last night was very not. It hurt, rectally speaking, because he was half a touchdown receiving and rushing. Did he cash that for old Uncle Marty?
No.
He so did I. Of course I took, because it's Saquon Barkley. He's gonna.
I need to go home.
Shut up. It's his home debut. It's his home debut. Did that cash?
No.
It didn't. But when you have somebody that you can count on so passionately,
Do you believe?
and when you know that if I put him in my my Prize Picks lineup,
Right.
this mother ain't gonna miss.
Right.
You can play a flex play for $15 because you know that Seiya Suzuki is the hero you need, not the one you deserve. The hero you need is Cubs stud Seiya Suzuki. Seiya Suzuki.
Right.
1.5 total bases. The mofo went 3 for 5. You make 3 selections on Prize Picks. You play a flex play. You can afford Impossible Nuggets at Costco.
Yeah.
Nuggies.
I'm telling you, it's every day I sit on this show and I tell you, download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more. It's the best daily fantasy promotion I've ever seen. You can play the entire football season on $55. And Seiya Suzuki is going to save you money.
Yes.
It's going to save that ass every single day. Every single day. Just take Seiya Suzuki. You make 3 selections and you play a flex play, which means you only have to get 2 of those 3 correct. Just check your bank account, dude. Cash money. That's what I love about Prize Picks. Now, did I get piped? Did I get inserted on the NFL? Yes. Deeply, and just
It was rough, bro.
damage that can never be undone. But boy, did I bounce back. 2 or 3 in flex play. Bless you, Kirk Cousins. I'm so overcome with joy and happiness this morning because the Cubs won. It is what it is. Good morning to Aaron Wilson, a member for 17 months.
Let's go, baby. Delivering that mail.
Good to see you, Aaron. Calford gives 5 Monty Show memberships.
Let's go, Calford. Glad
to
to
see
see
you,
got enough in the
Calford.
budget after the the flyover to the ACC.
In the truck stop conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And stuff. Midweek coup, Gonzaga is content being in the WCC. And I hear this all the time. Then why did they have a 6-week negotiation last year with the Big 12?
Gonzaga.
That resulted in what now, again, not to tell you I told you so, but I told you so, because we had it long before anybody else.
Right.
Gonzaga invited to the Big 12.
I like Gonzaga.
And everybody says, well, Monty, nobody in Spokane thinks that. Okay, well, I don't know what you guys eat in Spokane. All I can tell you is we reported it first, and everybody else ran with it to the point where Brett Yormark was asked about it and commented about Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
Right? So I know nobody in Spokane wants the Big 12.
Dude,
yes,
it's one of the most infamous Brett Yormark moments of his tenure so far as commissioner. Talking about, rolling out the spin cycle on whether or not they were talking to Gonzaga or not. And then Dennis Dodd being like, hey, do you like Gonzaga? It's one of the great moments. And so if you're in Spokane and you don't believe that the Big 12 and Gonzaga have a relationship and
You're out of your mind.
Matter of time, you're out of your mind.
And I can tell you, according to my sources, that the Big 12 has talked to UConn, which we told you about, Creighton, Gonzaga, and that doesn't even account for pretty much everybody in the ACC.
Creighton would be a nice add.
Including Duke and North Carolina.
Yeah.
Now, do I think those are likely? I don't. Because the Big 12 board of directors and essentially everybody is in alignment in the Big 12. They're not going to pay for your football team at UConn.
Right.
That's why that deal didn't happen. And I think, as I tell you, every single time we talk about realignment, there's a domino effect, whether realignment happens or not. When you announce that you have stopped talking to UConn, dominoes start to fall.
Right.
When you announce that you're simply just talking to UConn, dominoes start to fall.
Oh, maybe it goes back to the Dan Hurley thing.
Well, right? I was going to say, when Dan Hurley says that he's talking to the Lakers,
yeah,
dominoes start to fall.
Yeah.
Like these decisions are being made by human beings that are emotional and concerned and worried and competitive. So, I mean, we can sit here and we can play in this fantasy world, that, ACC Commissioner Gumby says, hey, Monty. No, hey, Monties. The PAC needs Creighton, in my opinion. Not at this moment, but at some point that would be a solid ad. You need universities that do one of two things: go to a bowl game every year or get into the NCAA tournament every single year.
Preferably both.
And if you can get both, that's great. And right now, the Pac-12 does not have a university that's rock solid in football and basketball. You don't have that at this very moment.
I think Oregon State's probably the closest to it, but I mean,
are you every year in a bowl game, especially right now? Not after the Oregon game, you're probably not.
Yeah.
When a sputtering Oregon team came in and seemingly got healthy.
Yeah.
Right? So right now, I don't think you have that in this conference. I think that, again, it's a value. It's why Gonzaga, it's why Creighton, UConn, why are they in demand for power football conferences? What conference in this country wouldn't take Gonzaga today?
Yeah.
Knowing they don't have a football program.
Yeah, and
come on.
And maybe it's
St. Mary's?
Dude, like maybe it's a thing where for the Big 12, well, I know for the Big 12 it is, but like for these conferences, maybe it is time we stop saying for these power football conferences and we start saying like for one of the best conferences we have in college athletics, because that's what Brett Yormark wants it to be. Brett Yormark has been very clear and very bullish on the fact that they are going to be obviously one conference under the Big 12 umbrella, but they are also going to be, basketball and football. And those are going to be two separate things there. And they are going to be dominant in both. And all the haters are like, oh, well, hey, you had a rough tournament and you were terrible. Yeah, but they got in and they're getting the shares. And yeah, they might not be the big in the SEC, but they're still getting into the college football playoff on some level. So they're getting the shares.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Let's run through some of your comments here. James, Oak State James, who had a very bad day on the show yesterday. He said, I don't know. James accused me yesterday of being stupid. He straight up called me fat and stupid and said that I don't know anything about Oak State football. He said, do you even watch Oak State football?
I mean, listen, you can die on the hill of 18 of 23 in the first half. I mean, if that's the guy you want to be.
No. Alan Bowman is the single greatest quarterback we have ever seen, ever. Brandon Whedon can't hold a jock strap next to Alan Bowman.
You ain't first, you're last.
Alan Bowman has his own locker room.
Right.
And Ollie Gordon's not even allowed to drink and drive in that locker room. And we
not
don't
even if it's the vodka from the collective.
No, not even if it's the rattling refrigerator in the background. Because I don't watch Oak State football. And don't forget, Cam Rising's arm was amputated in an accidental surgery, so he won't play this week. Oh, wait. Cam Rising is playing.
Well,
this
he
week.
wasn't supposed to play for 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, that's
Years,
what
6 to 8
that's what all the
years.
sleuths were saying. And then I'm getting DMs. Oh, well, dude, did you see that some idiot on Twitter who isn't a guy at all, who doesn't cover college football, says that Cam's out like 6, 8 weeks? What do you say now? I say, hey, they were on cruise control at Utah State, just like I said they were.
Well,
and Cam was resting.
but who are you, Josh Ford?
Good Lord.
So Oak State James rolled in here and he says yesterday, I don't know who Josh Ford is. Oh, he doesn't even know who Josh Ford is. And even though I'd already talked about Josh Ford, even though, anyway, it's actually a good idea for the ACC if they let Cal and Stanford go. They could then give that money to FSU and Clemson to convince them to stay. They're already doing that. Do you even watch ACC football?
Do you even watch the Monty program?
Christopher Shannon, Gonzaga and Creighton to the Pac-12. I put nothing past them. And I would, nobody's told me, but dollars to donuts, I would bet that they've already called Gonzaga. How would you have not?
Right.
How would you have not? Josh, if basketball is a high factor, Utah State would be in. Yeah, but the problem is you have a scandal. And I told you this last week on the show, and I've confirmed it twice. Utah State would not be eligible for Pac-12 entry because of their investigation, the scandal that's
100%.
breaking on their campus, because it involves Title IX. So you would not be able to join the Pac-12 today because the Pac-12 charter says if you are under investigation, we cannot offer you membership in the conference. So at this very moment in time, Utah State would not be eligible.
Right.
But I think that Utah State has, it is my belief that Utah State has systematic failures on that campus. And we don't know the details of what happened, so I'm not going to get into the accusations, because the investigation that's going on at Utah State and the lawsuits that are a product of it are salacious. They are ugly. It is the worst of the worst. But that we're at this point at a university like Utah State is a shame, because it's a great university. Logan is a great town with great people. That is a proud athletic department. That it is shocking that it has gotten to this level. And they will rise. They will come out of that. But it will not be in the Pac-12. Not at this point in time. Not at this point in time. 2 crown jewel basketball programs. Indeed, they are. Remember, the Mountain West sent 7 teams to this year's tournament, just saying.
Yeah.
I think that nobody's knocking. I don't know what the genesis of that statement is, but nobody is
saying that getting one, accessibility to the tournament is obviously at a much higher level than the college football playoff in football, clearly.
Yes.
But then secondly to that, I think his point is that, hey, no matter who you are, you can make money through basketball. So if you could get,
certainly,
Creighton, let's say, or obviously Gonzaga, Gonzaga.
We like Gonzaga.
That would make a lot of sense. The problem is, though, and again, you're never going to hear the Pac-12 folks talk about this, in my opinion. The problem is that you have to find a way to remain profitable as a conference. That's the thing. We can sit here and talk about, upstart conference and we're adding membership and everything's amazing. Right. But if at a conference level, you're not making money or enough money because you don't have a TV deal, and you aren't going to the college football playoff at all. Because honestly, in their first year of existence, as far as the college football playoff is concerned, if they put 0 teams in, that's a huge issue. That means that the only money that you're bringing in is going to be ticket sales on an individual basis, sponsorship on an individual basis, and then assuming that they put a TV deal together after they add after they get to 10 schools, or if they were to push to 12, like the TV money.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be ESPN, Fox level TV money, in my opinion.
Yep. Mike Smith, hello. Just for the regulars here, have to wonder if the crybaby Beaver fan that was going to boycott his school and tear up his diploma is still
Dude, they were setting jerseys on fire. Come
yeah,
on, dude.
what do you mean diplomas? They were setting their beavers on fire, sir. Only Mountain Mama would bring that back up, and I'm glad you did. Gonzaga is content in the WCC. Okay. Calford passing out pro rata again. Yeah, they are. Trent says just that Air Force would be a football only ad, which doesn't help their Olympic sports, which are pretty good. I don't know what Air Force ends up doing. The AAC seems like a good fit, but I think that's all conjecture. Since SMU is getting no money from the ACC, are they obligated to stay? Yes. They signed a grant of rights.
That's what was so questionable about their decision. Well, really, the decision on both sides to add SMU, because again, you're committing to the mid 2030s, and you're not making money for some time. I'd have to go back and look at the specifics, but I think it's like 7 years or whatever. You're not getting a cut of the TV money for, and then you got to, after that, it goes up on a percentage basis as the years go by. Like, that's a long time, man.
We'll see. Scott of Greywater Watch. It would be ironic that the two academic conferences, Calford will most likely not be power conferences very soon because of poor, intelligent decision making. I don't think the ACC is going anywhere. I mean, I have said repeatedly, and I think this request for summary judgment that they filed tells you how frustrated they are. I mean, they are. Do you guys understand how far financially Florida State is in this lawsuit?
Yeah, they're just trying to end it. They're just trying to get done with it.
It is starting to become uncomfortable in the state houses in Tallahassee with the money that is being spent in this effort to get out of the ACC. And I think it is justified to be uncomfortable with it, because at the end of the day, you have no idea what your ability to land in the SEC is. Because if you're suing to get out of the ACC to end up in the Big 12, was that money well spent? And I'm not knocking the Big 12, but I'm just asking. Is that money well spent? To get out of the ACC, okay, you won the lawsuit. Congratulations. Welcome to the Big 12.
By the way, you're not going to the college football playoff this year. Just
not to mention that it's a disaster on the field. That's very true. Yeah. And DJU has been
a joke.
Is it money well spent to leave the ACC to get to the Big 12?
Come on.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Yes, fug Mac Brown. What do you mean, Mac Brown?
Why are we hating on Mac Brown, bro?
Guy's old as dirt. Mike Smith, Stanford should have joined the Ivy and dominated on the field. You know. The Monty Show, home of the Big 16, sponsored by the Advocates. Thanks to Buc-ee's, the official brisket of the Big 16. Okay.
Okay.
I believe they also are Josh Ford's chosen breakfast burrito establishment. I could be fat. Wrong. John Dry, Texas cries about everyone. Tex cries about it. Okay. I don't know what you mean. Hey, Monty, could you send me one of those 0 sugar white monsters? Thanks in advance.
Seriously.
Dude, I'm out of Bucked Up Miami. I went on a Bucked Up Miami run last week that was truly delightful.
Stay hard.
I miss, you know how you know when you have multiple girlfriends, you have a flavor of the week. Bucked Up Miami. Bucked Up Miami's tremendous.
Yeah.
Extra screen time for Jack since he's been MIA. Who's Jack?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
I'm not sure who Jack is. Gumby. There's plenty of truck stops in California. Just ask Fresno. Right. We'll notice that as we fly over.
Right.
It's fine. Oak State James for $5.
Okay, now if you're paying a comment, and I haven't seen the comment, this damn well better be about an upper deck. Like, it better be. Better be, and you just stay on brand here.
Okay. FTR. I think that means fart traced red. I could be wrong. I said yesterday my prediction for Saturday, Utah 35, Oak State 31. He's going to have a video on his YouTube channel about it. The key is week 5, winner of K-State, Oak State will play Utah for the Big 12 title game. Only if Josh Ford is in alignment with that.
Yeah.
The greatest tight end ever. Okay. At 35-31, if Oak State puts up 31 on Utah, I'll shave your head. And I'm happy to get into it. I understand because yesterday, since you blew the show off and have other priorities, yesterday, Oak State James got his short and curlies in a braid because I said it was only Tulsa.
Right.
And getting excited that Alan Bowman threw for 7,000 yards against Tulsa. That's like getting excited that you beat Gonzaga at football. Like, are we really that excited about, aren't they the Golden Hurricanes? There ain't no, come on, man.
Wow.
It's Tulsa. And again, I'll just say what I said yesterday. Josh Ford be damned. Ollie Gordon's not right. Something's not, he 2.4 yards a carry. And you're not worried about that. And listen, I understand that Mike Gundy, who doesn't coach football teams so well, but I mean, at least my guy is now an appliance repairman, apparently.
They're not really trying to change scheme-wise much. They're going to do what they do. And it looks like they're bringing him along best chance they get.
With Cam, do you go back and...
I mean, y'all can't. There's no way y'all can hear it very good. I mean,
it's not easy.
It's like crowd noise in
yeah.
the game.
There's got to be a
plug, right? There he is. We got to get this thing out of here. Is it bolted down?
Please don't knock it over.
Does anybody have a tow truck out there? Can we get your players on an NIL deal for Pepsi to come up here and move this thing?
Well, they make way too much money to move this.
Here we go.
Please don't get crushed.
This is going to throw the knife off. That's okay. we got Robert fully indoctrinated.
Now that is an accomplishment.
Teamwork.
Is that discipline and toughness?
At least we're all focused on the right things this week.
Can I just want to say, it's so fitting that Oak State is a Pepsi school. That's so fitting.
Oh, God. Well, Monty, listen, Coke Zero sucks. Let's talk about Pepsi.
That's cute. I remember when I had my first beer.
Don't, because you're going to get James all twisted now, and he's going to say it's biased. Come on. Christopher Shannon, Monty looks for Gundy content, I swear. Ask dude over here.
I don't look for it. It's given to me by the Twitter X universe. Like, I'm literally just scrolling through my Twitter feed, and what do I get? Oh, well, Mike Gundy's the best handyman in Stillwater. Man, look at this guy. He fixed the Pepsi machine over here during his press conference. Like what? This is like, he's like, they're putting this out, man.
There's always a Mike Gundy segment. Always.
What am I supposed to just be like?
Am I supposed to just give you a free pass? I'm trying to fix excuse my French, a refrigerator during your press. I'm just supposed to let that go. With that haircut, I'm supposed to let that go.
And I don't even disagree. Like, with people saying, "Oh, well, man, that's peak Mike Gundy." I don't disagree.
It's what makes him great.
Yeah, the dude is absolutely
except
a character.
during Saturdays in the regular season.
The dude's absolutely a character,
Or
and
the
I'm sure he's going to roll out. Oh, this wasn't a big deal to us that we got our ass beat by Utah and only put up 17 points and got completely shut down. We're just looking on to next week, and we're going to review the film. Like Oak State fan on Monday, I swear, if you don't cross the 20-point line in this game,
you better hope they don't win.
They won't win.
Don't show up here if they don't win.
Oh, I'm going to show up. And I'm telling you, and Oklahoma State fans going to talk all this junk before the game. You're going to be Nicolosi from Colorado State. You're going to tell me that.
Can you at least have some empathy for Oak State James's couch if Oak State beats Utah, because he's going full JD Vance on that thing. You and I both know it. That he will. Oh my God, the stuffing's going to be out of the cushions, dude. Like it will be. All right, the Buffalo Hunter, is Gundy grabbing a bottle of vodka in this video?
Well,
we've all done that 1,000 times.
Yeah, must have done 1,000 times.
Mike Smith, maybe if they stock that machine to fill it up, there would be less vibrating.
Well,
which I'm not opposed to vibrating.
Right.
Force Ghost Fabio. Mike Gundy is a better man than you. I'm sure he is, but he's still 40, right?
Yeah.
Exactly right, Gumby.
Nick Saban is a better man than you are.
Gundy's hair, party in the back, upper deck in the front. Exactly right. Put some CNS seating up there. Giggity. Is that where they keep the beer? I think it is. I don't know. You'd have to ask Ollie Gordon. Christopher Shannon, Monty looks for Gundy content. I swear I read that one.
By the way, to Christopher, why would we not? Let's say that this is true. Why would we not? Number one. Number two, I can tell you personally, as the guy who is constantly looking for video and stuff for the show, Mike Gundy is always popping up, always saying something, whether it be dumb or funny or like there's always something, man.
James. Here we go with Alan Bowman again. Oak State and Utah will be a shootout. Cam Rising and Alan Bowman are really good because of their experience. Alan Bowman's not a good quarterback. How many other ways can I say that? Alan Bowman's not a good quarterback.
Alan Bowman's going to be 240, 250. He's going to be 60.
If he's 240, 250, they win this game going away. I think he's lucky to break 200 yards. I think he's lucky to break 200 yards. And again, tell me why I should believe, Oak State fan, and I'm here for it. Tell me why I should believe that Alan Bowman is better than Cam Rising or even on par with Cam Rising. Tell me why I should believe that when and forget this year. Let's go back to last year, because remember, again, Zane, call me Flowers, not Flores,
right,
was the savior coming in this year. That never has materialized. Why should I believe that a guy who in the biggest games of the year against Texas, where you got absolutely, I don't even know, like, you got dominated, 253 touchdowns and a pick. So in your best games against your worst opponents in the TaxAct Texas Bowl, he throws for 402 yards. Where was that in the Texas game? Right? Look at the games that he had huge games in. It wasn't at West Virginia last year for 210 yards. It wasn't, my point is, this guy does great against subpar defenses. BYU, Houston, Texas A&M in a bowl game. Let's see him do it when he goes to the bounce house and throws for 225 yards. I'm trying to understand this belief somehow that Alan Bowman is the second coming of Cam Rising.
And I'm being generous when I say I would put him around 250 in this game. I only put him there because Ollie's not the same guy or hasn't been. Now, just the same way we say, hey, Cam's going to show up in this game. Okay, I'll give Ollie the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Ollie Gordon has sobered up. He's ready to go and runs for 130 against the Utah defense in a grinded out, kick your ass type game, right? Where it's basically just one in the trenches and, we've got some passing plays, but Ollie's going to be a huge factor. If that's the case, neither team's crossing 30 points in this game. The way I see this game, and this is why I think the line is where it's at. It's -2 for Utah, right? 51.5, I believe it was. Like, you're basically saying that Utah is favored in this game, in a game where the over-under suggests that 25 is kind of the ballpark.
I think both these quarterbacks are 250-ish. If either one of these quarterbacks throws for more than 250, they win the game.
Yeah, I think
the Oak State defense is good, not great. I think the Utah pass rush with Logan Fano, and you look at Van Filliger and you look at that front, they've been very good. I think the Utah defense can be thrown against in the secondary. I would expect, because remember, Oak State has the best receivers anybody's ever seen ever. I would expect Alan Bowman to throw for 250 yards with the best running back in college football, the best tight end anybody's ever seen in Josh Ford, and the best wide receivers we've ever seen ever anywhere. I would expect him to throw for, how does he not throw for 300 yards?
Stay hard.
I'm just asking.
For a friend.
Because this is what Oak State fan routinely does on this show. They're the best running backs. Josh Ford's the best tight end. Yesterday on the show. Josh, you don't even know who Josh Ford is. You're right. I do. Firecrotch is going to be amazing this weekend against a really good group of linebackers. Let's see what happens. And in our prediction Friday, I think you'll be a little surprised.
Yeah, my big concern for Oklahoma State offensively in this game is that Utah is going to stop the run early and force you into throwing against probably, I don't know, 7 guys in the secondary probably. I mean, they don't need to drop that many, but they can if they want to. So Utah is notorious for playing man coverage outside with your wide receivers and just filling up the middle of the field. So if that's the case, I would expect a line from Alan Bowman of 250-ish, somewhere in that ballpark, less than 300 certainly, and at least 1 pick and 2 touchdowns. That's what I would expect. Maybe they run for 1 more, but I don't expect Oak State to put up 30 points in this game. I think that 24 points is kind of the line for Oklahoma State. If you're more than that, you're probably winning this game.
Yeah, if Utah gives up 24 points, you've got bigger problems than who's better, Cam Rising or Alan Bowman.
And that's why I say for Cam, I actually don't know. I think the bigger question is Cam Rising. I think that you can't have it both ways. So just the same way I said that, hey, he's going to be fine for this game. Well, how fine is he going to be? Is he 80%, 90%, 60%? What does it actually look like?
How accurate will he be with whatever this situation on his hand is?
Yeah.
That's what I need to know. And because I look at these defenses, and I look at the defenses in the Big 12. We've seen a lot of points put up. Right. And what I'm trying to figure out is, what does it look like when these two teams get on the field? Oak State I'm just saying, Oak State's defense, I think, is going to have to show that they're not going to give up. They've given up 20 points a game. On this, you guys understand that this year, Oak State is averaging 20.3 points against per game. They've given up 61 points. Now, are they like competition? Baylor and Arkansas, I think, are pretty close. Utah's given up exactly half of that. And they're averaging 11 points a game. You played SUU at Utah. You guys played Tulsa at Oak State. And I'm very interested. I'd also remind you that who's got the number 1 defense in the conference right now? on average, that'd be Baylor right now, 29 points against. So do these rankings really mean a whole lot? I think they mean something other than nothing. But when you're giving up Oak State, you've given up 7 touchdowns in 3 games. Is that not alarming?
Well, the way the Arkansas game played out is that's what I'm basing the Utah prediction off of. I'm much more the guy who's like, hey, this is what you did in your last game. This is you're probably going to look something similar to that in your next game, because I don't think week to week you're just going to change your entire existence as a football team. So like for Utah as an example, Utah has this propensity to come out and get off to slow starts. That's not going to work this week. You're not going to be able to come out here and be down in the second quarter to Oklahoma State. Now, again, needs to be said, Isaac Wilson, young kid at quarterback, offense didn't really get going for a minute. You would think that would be different with Cam Rising in the game. I would expect them to take shots early in the game with Monty Parks, and I would expect some attempts. And if they hit on those attempts, Oak State's going to be in trouble. But I just think overall, Oklahoma State fan is unwilling to say, hey, Alan Bowman is who we thought he was, which is he's an average quarterback who can move the ball, but is not sensational in any way, shape, or form. He's most of the time not going to lose you the game, but against Texas, he's going to commit a bad interception, just an awful interception. But against Tulsa, he'll throw up, 45 points for you. So I'm just saying, I don't even Oak State fan likes to turn this into a controversial thing. I don't even think it's that controversial.
No, neither do I.
I just think it's who he's been for his career. And Oklahoma State, unfortunately, is shackled with that, because my opinion is if Oklahoma State had a more dynamic guy at quarterback who is more of a threat in the run game, they would be a far better team, because then the balance as a defense between Alan Bowman and Ollie Gordon would be so much tougher to contend with. And I would also remind you, Utah's got a great pass rush. Oak State's got a good pass rush. Utah's got a phenomenal pass rush. Leading the conference in sacks, already got 10 sacks. You know who these two teams are. You know how they play. They both want to run the football to help their passing game. I think Oklahoma State's got better wide receivers. But Dijon Stanley's got to show us if he's a real player or not. Oak State's got to determine if they can cover Monty Parks or not. Can you cover Monty Parks and Brant Keithy, who's turned back into a touchdown machine now? We're going to find out. It's going to happen on the field. Yeah.
And I think that Alan Bowman, it's this Avery Johnson conversation at K-State. It's the same conversation we've had repeatedly.
Yeah.
Is Avery Johnson Saturday night in Provo, is he the reason they won or lost the game? Because BYU's defense has been no slouch. I think they're top half of the conference in defense.
Yeah, they've been good.
Their defense has been really good.
Well,
and
the
you look at
thing here is how they're going to defend Avery.
They're fifth in the league in defense. Yeah. They're giving up 14 points a game. And now, having said that, K-State's fourth in defense. So it's going to be rough. But the biggest question I have is, we're talking about a K-State offense that's middle of the pack. They're seventh in the league in offense. BYU's ninth. There's a 4-point difference. And I know every BYU fan wants to tell you how bad Jake Retzloff is. Well, apparently not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently not so much.
Well, when you go on the road, to Lavelle and a night game, at altitude, and I'm not even joking, I'm being serious. Avery Johnson's not running for 185 on BYU's defense. That's not happening. And I think, the interesting thing will be, does, Jay Hill and company decide to spy him all game long? Are you going to bring in an extra, corner safety kind of body to keep up with him?
They're fourth in pass defense. BYU is, do you guys understand? BYU is 4th in the league in pass defense so far.
And SMU has a good offense. Like SMU going into that game, everyone was like, hey, they're going to push this ball down the field. And then all of a sudden, that wasn't so much the case. So,
and I would also point out, who's the worst pass defense in the Big 12? Oklahoma State, giving up 305 yards a game.
Nah, we shouldn't be worried about Utah.
Dead last. I said dead last in pass defense. 305 yards a game. Utah giving up 143.7. And you've played pretty like-for-like talent. It's not like, I would just slow your roll a little bit. That's all I'm saying. And again, when you start breaking out numbers and you look at BYU's in the Big 12, Utah is what, 4th? Oak State's 8th. And I would also point out K-State's 12th in defensive efficiency. It's going to be an interesting weekend. K-State's also 10th in offensive efficiency. BYU's 8th. Jay Kretzloff is terrible.
Garbo.
Get him out of here. But we don't know anything about football, and I don't know who Josh Ford is. I mean...
Well, you don't watch football. I mean...
I don't watch Oak State football.
My bad. Sorry.
And I don't... Jazz basketball, Oak State football,
Yeah.
Avery Johnson. We've never seen Avery Johnson play a game.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've never watched Avery Johnson track meets on the football field, so,
Herders. Ollie Gordon will run all over Utah Saturday.
I'm sure he will.
And I'm happy to have you on the show. Explain to me how come Ollie Gordon hasn't run all over anybody yet? Where's that? You're 12th in rushing offense. Greatest running back I've ever seen. Where's Ollie Gordon been? And it's the question that Oak State fans don't want to answer. Where has Ollie Gordon been?
Yeah, he's been tackled at the line of scrimmage regularly.
Where was he? And I'm just asking straight up, where was he for the first 4 quarters of the Arkansas game? Because I don't know how to break it to you, friends. He carried the ball 17 times against Tulsa for 2.4 yards a carry.
Because it's garbage.
17 times against Arkansas for 2.9 yards a carry. 28 times against South Dakota State for 4.5 yards a carry, which is a grand total of 3.5 yards per carry on the season. Where did Ollie Gordon go? It's one of the great mysteries.
Oh, I know. Ollie Gordon disappeared to, hey, people have got film on you now and are prepared for you and ready for you, and they're not going to allow you to run all over. Like you're not, if you're a defense playing Oklahoma State, you're gonna stack the box, dude. You're gonna have 7 guys in the box, and you're gonna force Alan Bowman to beat you in the throwing game. So when Oklahoma State fans says Ollie's gonna run all over you, sorry, I beg to differ. In fact, what I would say is Ollie Gordon's gonna be lucky to break 70 yards.
Utah has a garbage run defense. So again, I'll just go to the stats. Utah's run defense is 5th in the conference, averaging 3.1 yards a carry. They've given up how many rushing touchdowns? Anybody? How about 1? And they average 109 yards a game. Oklahoma State, on the other hand, 13th against the run, 16th against the pass. Well, they're much better against the run, thankfully. 13th, 157.3 yards a game. And on offense, well, this is where Ollie Gordon comes in. You're 12th in rushing offense. Utah's 7th. So Utah's, and again, I'm a simp. I don't watch Oak State.
A beta.
Thank you. I'm a beta male. I don't watch Oak State.
Yeah.
If Utah's run defense is Garbo, what is Oak State's? Like you come in and this is what I've never understood about Oak State fan. You come in, you talk a bunch of jump, you get slapped in the bag, and then you're like, oh, sorry, Monty. No, sorry, Monty.
Oh, I never said that, Monty. I never said that Utah's run defense was Garbo.
You know,
I was over here fixing the
but
Pepsi cooler.
again, herders, you're making me. You're not breaking me. You making me, bruh. Okay, if Utah's schedule is Garbo, because fifth in the conference is nothing. Who have they played? Who the hell is Oak State played? Who has Oak State played?
Look at him. Look at right there. Second from the bottom. We haven't played a cupcake schedule. Are you out of your mind?
You haven't played. So excuse me, Tulsa, Arkansas, and San Diego or South Dakota State is not a cupcake schedule.
You've been drinking that vodka. That's what it is. You've been drinking the Pokes vodka. That's what this is.
Tulsa is 1-3, and in their 2 losses, which was at Arkansas State, they lost at Arkansas State 28-24, and you beat them 45-10. We're not even. Are you out of your mind?
It's insane.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Yeah, like, see, this is where you lose me. I appreciate you coming by the show. Only if they are made with Poke vodka.
Yeah.
Somebody asked about pina colada. Okay, ACC Commissioner Gumby, the question that no one's asked: does Ollie Gordon like pina coladas?
And is the collective going to roll out, a pina colada, line?
Oak State fan, I appreciate your passion. But coming in here and saying that you haven't played a cupcake schedule,
bro, get out of here, dude.
I can't. Utah has played Southern Utah, Baylor, and Utah State. I'm not arguing with you.
No, the point is not that Utah's played a cupcake schedule. The point is that so has Oak State.
Are you going to make the argument that Arkansas is somehow a world beater? You really are going to make the argument that you needed overtime because Arkansas is so stout?
Man, they're just so good, bro. Like we had to have 5 quarters to beat them, and it took us doing miracles on the football field.
Do you guys understand that they've played UAB, Oak State, and Arkansas Pine Bluff? And I would also remind you, they handed you the win. Neither one of these two has played the Titans of college football.
Stop lying to yourself, bro.
God.
Stop. Arkansas is miles better than Baylor?
No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're.
What are you doing?
Damian Fowler, if Oak State wins, you two better cancel your show and move out of the country. I'm not. But see, I'm not here saying that Utah is miles better than Oak State. The problem becomes James rolls in here yesterday and says, I don't know who Josh Ford is. And then Alan Bowman's the greatest quarterback he's ever seen.
Bro,
after saying Brandon Whedon's the greatest quarterback he's ever seen, and Dane Flores was going to be the savior.
Zane. Is it Zane or Dane?
Dane Flowers.
Dane.
That was kind of the point.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That Flores was going to be amazing, and Ollie Gordon, and then when you say, well, what's happened to Ollie Gordon? Well, he's played really tough defenses. He hasn't. He hasn't.
The numbers say he hasn't.
Oh, Arkansas is great. No, well, let me ask you, if Arkansas is better than Baylor, Utah soundly beat Baylor without Cam Rising in the second half. What happened against Arkansas?
You had all your boys.
Arkansas collapsed. And you still almost lost in overtime. At some point, it's what I said about Oak State fans yesterday. Take your emotions out of it. Be analytical. Use the data. Use the science. This is going to be a hard-fought game. I think Utah probably wins by 10 points because I think their defense is better and something's wrong with Ollie Gordon. If Ollie Gordon goes for 150 and 3 scores, and there's no indication he will do that, but if he does, you're probably going to win the game. If
Right.
Alan Bowman throws for 250 plus yards, I think you're probably going to win the game. But can you cover? You've shown no ability against anybody to cover. Can the Oak State secondary cover I don't know that they could cover me.
When I look at a defense, and this is not unique to Oak State, when I look at a defense, my first question is, okay, what's the obvious way to manipulate this defense to have success? Oh, I know. The obvious way is to send Money Parks down the field through your secondary, like run him on a deep post from right to left or left to right through the middle of the field. Take the safeties with him, and then let Brant Keithy beat the living hell out of your linebacker like he does every week against anybody's linebackers, because he's faster than you and his hands are better than yours. And that's the formula. You will see that a lot, I'm telling you. And then inevitably what's going to happen is...
I'm sorry, go ahead and finish.
Well, what I was going to say is inevitably what's going to happen is you're going to start pushing back. You're going to drop your safeties 20, 25 yards in coverage. Your linebackers are going to have to push back. And then what's Utah going to do? They're going to turn around and hand it off to Bernard, who's going to punch you in the mouth.
I need to apologize for this graphic right here. Let me, that graphic's incorrect. I need to go ahead and, okay. All right, my bad. It's a 2-point home favorite now. What happened? Cat got your crotch? The number went from 3 to 2. So now you're not favored at home anymore. You're a 1-point dog in this game because the home team always gets 3 points. It's not going to be a blowout. But what I'm telling you is, and the number to me that's very interesting is that you can't cover. You have not shown the ability to cover. That's what I need to see. That's what I need to see. All right. Before we get to more of your comments, because I do want to get to this Philadelphia thing last night. The official golf course of the Monty Show, Canyons Golf in Park City. Come join me Saturday. I have a 9:16 tee time Saturday morning at Canyons. Looking forward to it. Even though I broke my driver this weekend, apparently.
You broke it?
It's got a loud rattle in it. You know I'm a PXG guy through and through. I hit a ball Sunday. And have you ever heard, like, you know, if you play golf, you know that your driver sounds a certain way when you peer a driver.
Yeah.
So I hit a big draw of a drive onto a green. And I was kind of interested in, how did it go that far? Because it's not downhill. It's just a drive. Went about 320. That's not who I typically am. I'm 280 to 300. If I really get one, maybe 310. If it's downhill, like a couple of weekends ago, I had that 400-yard drive. It was downhill. And the driver sounded different. You know when you hit a driver and it just sounds different? And then it sounded like it had broken glass inside of it. PXG's replacing it, thankfully. But I hope it's here by the weekend. Because there's no better feeling than hitting a driver and watching that ball fly at Canyons Golf. And it is, and I'm learning that your 4-wood is, because I don't hit a 3-wood, I hit a 4. I have a 4. The 4-wood is a very good weapon of choice on a lot of driver situation at Canyons, because you have to be accurate with your drive there. I think we're going to hit a lot of 4-wood this weekend. We'll see. It'll be very interesting to see.
Right.
But that's the worst feeling in the world, when you hit your driver and you just hear it like, whoa, what was that? Now the drive went, but then you shake it and it sounds
right.
We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully PXG gets me a new driver head by the weekend. I hope, maybe not, but we'll see. I'll be at Canyons, 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Come on up to Park City. There is less than a month left now. Less than 4 weeks left in the golf season at Canyons Resort. Come on up. Let's play golf together Saturday. DM me on Instagram, or not on Twitter. I never check my DMs or mentions on Twitter, frankly. DM me on Instagram. Let's play some golf on Saturday. Really looking forward to that. Canyons Golf, where you get resort-style golf at municipal prices. And I say it every day, and maybe Saturday I'll do it. At the bottom of the Pendry building, which is in the Park City Mountain Resort Canyons Village, one of their new developments is the Pendry building. At the bottom, they have this great Mexican restaurant. Go play 18 holes of amazing golf. Go have a lovely lunch. and then understand that you've missed that all season long if you haven't been up to canyons. I love it. The fairways are lush and beautiful. The fall colors up the mountain now are unbelievable. When I was there Sunday, all of the fall colors, the oranges, the yellows, the reds that are coming out because the season's changing, outstanding. You're going to see deer. You're going to see moose. You're going to golf in just beautiful, picturesque landscapes. It's everything you want. Canyons Golf, Park City Mountain Resort, Canyons Village is where you find Canyons Golf. Book online, just Google search Canyons Golf Park City. Tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show, and then DM me. Let's meet up on Saturday and play some golf up at Canyons Golf, Canyons Resort. Let's see. Let's get a couple more in here. Herders. I stand by my pick. Utah will lose in a blowout. Have you ever watched Utah play football? When's the last time Utah got blown out? Probably Oregon. What is they like? I'm amazed by it.
Yeah.
That you're predicting in a big game in the Kyle Whittingham era that they're going to get blown out. Yeah, it just tells me that you speak in emotion. It tells me you have not analyzed this game at all. You certainly have not seen this Utah defense this year. I'm guessing you didn't see the absolute night and day difference with Cam Rising at quarterback versus Isaac Wilson, who in the second half last weekend I thought was tremendous.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're in for it. Canyons Golf giving out free vodka if Oak State wins. Hadn't heard that. Tanner Plummer went to an Eagles preseason game. Didn't see the jail, but it's probably there though. Can I just ask you? Oh man. Can I just ask you what was that last night? And I was a very vocal opponent of Nick Sirianni being retained.
Right.
He scapegoated Brian Johnson as offensive coordinator. And then last night in the first quarter, were they on like the 15-yard line or whatever? They're in the red zone.
Yeah.
And they go for it on fourth down instead of kicking the field goal.
I think it was the 9, to be specific.
They don't get it.
Yeah.
Then the game's on the line. You have the lead. And all you have to do is run the football and the game probably ends. Run the football twice. Game probably ends. Instead, with the lead, and what was it, 40 seconds left or whatever? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
You throw a pass to Saquon Barkley, which on its face, probably not a terrible decision. He dropped it. Oh, that's a terrible decision. Saquon Barkley known for dropping passes? Actually, he is. He has the most drops by any running back in the NFL over the last 3 seasons. Instead, you could have, I don't know, turn around and handed it off. Burn the clock. Fourth down, turn around and hand it off again if he doesn't get the first down. Burn the clock. But you threw it, he dropped it, and you wound up losing the game. So you didn't get it right on offense multiple times. You didn't manage the clock, and your defense was trash. What about Nick Sirianni are you fighting for? He should be fired today.
Yeah, he shouldn't be coaching this team. And I think the hard part is that, you know, the Falcons are not great. I mean, they're better than they were last year, but it's not like we're seeing prime Kirk Cousins here. And everyone wants to say, oh, well, what an amazing 2-minute drill they ran. And wow, drove right down the field. And it's like, yeah, dude, like Kirk Cousins has always been a gunslinger, always been someone who can throw the football from inside the pocket. We know that. That's not new. As a defense in 2-minute, I would expect you to be, trying to keep them in bounds, number one. I was shocked by that. But number two, I just don't understand, like, there's no pressure of any kind. And I feel like this is a philosophical thing as a defense. Like, the great defenses in 2-minute, yes, they're probably going to play like a hybrid man zone, right? You're going to be man-to-man on the outside, but then you're going to play zone in the middle of the field to give yourself the best coverage you can. But you may send, your corner off the blitz randomly. You may get after the quarterback a little bit, because all you need, and Matt Ryan was talking about it last night, which I thought was great, being that this was the Falcons. All you need as a defense there is to stop them from getting 1 or 2 positive plays to start that drive, and you probably win the game. But you don't have that forethought or that perspective somehow in the moment. And so what do? You just play way off coverage. You play deep zone, and they just drive right down the field and you lose a game. And that I had a huge problem with.
You're up 18-15 when you should have been up 21-15 going to that last drive. And you have a minute. What was the exact time? According to the play log, you have a minute and 46 seconds. You decide to throw it to Barkley, drop pass. If you'd have run it, you'd be a minute-ish.
Yeah.
Then you run it again, if you like, because you're already up 6 if you kick that field goal, but you didn't. So you're up 18-15. You run it again, and now you're down to about 19 seconds. And they've got to go 90 yards. And holding Saquon Barkley on 2 straight plays is not likely, but hey, okay, kick the field goal, which you did. And you give them a minute and 39 seconds to go 70 yards. And it took them a minute and 5 seconds. So your defense was trash. And then Jalen Hurts, you're not protecting him, and he throws a wild interception. And you lose the game because you didn't kick the field goal in the first half, and you are a terrible play caller and clock manager.
Yeah.
And you still have your job. You still have your job. I don't understand it. It's embarrassing. The Philadelphia Eagles are an embarrassment.
In a time when the Dallas Cowboys just got their ass beat at home by the Saints, you had an opportunity here to go out and pick up a game, to go out and widen that margin.
So instead of being 2-0 and standing on top of the division, you're now 1-1 and tied with the Commanders and the Cowboys. And worse than that is that you just don't have the confidence in the play calls that are coming in. So is it any wonder now that you scapegoated Brian Johnson, who you said the quarterback didn't respect? Maybe the quarterback doesn't respect the head coach.
Right.
Because the head coach cost that team the game. Plain and simple. And yes, the Cowboys lost. What was that? But if you look at the 0-2 teams, who's the biggest surprise? I think it's the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
They're not going to the playoffs. At 0-2, you don't go to the NFL playoffs.
And so I just want to go ahead and say it for everybody in the room. Go ahead and put another ring on Patrick Mahomes' finger.
But I'm just asking you now, are you ready to mea culpa on your boy Joe Burrow? Oh, greatest quarterback since Josh Ford, the tight end at Oak State.
I still think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But I think
No, not Josh Ford, Joe Burrow we're talking about.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah. He need to figure out what they're doing with this risk situation. Like, as much as Nick Sirianni is messing it up in Philadelphia, in my opinion, they're messing it up with Joe Burrow.
He looked better, and yes, I agree, the officials absolutely savaged the Cincinnati Bengals.
That dude.
And I think that the Kansas City Chiefs got handed a win.
Okay. How do you figure they got handed a win?
Because the calls the non-interference calls, again, more non-false start calls, like just the typical stuff that we see, the advantage that the Kansas City Chiefs routinely get. Now, does Harrison Buttface have to make that kick? He does. He does, absolutely. Do we have to see Taylor Swift 58 times? We do.
That was pass interference at the end of the game there. He's way early going through dude's back. That's absolutely defensive pass interference. It is. You can't argue it. It's textbook pass interference.
But why haven't you called that all game?
I don't know.
Because it's Kansas City.
Well,
is that it's going on. And I again don't believe the NFL is fixed. They want Taylor Swift in big games.
Yes, they do.
And
who could blame him?
Harrison Buttface racist prick guy made the kick. He did. And they won the game thanks to the NFL and the officials. I don't think Kansas City's elite. Is Patrick Mahomes elite? Yes. Is Travis Kelce elite? Not anymore. Is that offensive line as good as it used to be? Not anymore. Do they miss L'Jarius Sneed? They do.
Very much.
They're not elite. But I do think now, I mean, is anybody worried about Josh Allen and the Bills? No. I think their offenses looked really good.
Well, maybe we should be saying it this way. Maybe Kansas City's not elite, but they're the best team in the AFC. Like, who else are you going to put up against them?
Yeah.
Like, you're not putting the Ravens up against, like, maybe this plays out. I'd have to look at their schedule, but do the Ravens and Chiefs meet up again before the season's over? I mean, do the Ravens have a chance to wreck their season at all? No, they don't. So again, it's this whole thing where we want to talk about, and it's funny, I'm not even a Chiefs fan, but what I'm going to sit here and say every week until I'm blue in the face is, you are the best team in the AFC because your quarterback does make the throw and your kicker does make the kick. And
the officials do throw flags in your.
Yeah, well, maybe you should commit pass interference at the end of the game.
It's not the calls you do make. It is always the calls that they don't.
And I agree. They get help from the officials. The offensive line thing is well documented. I'm not even arguing that. I'm saying that as a team playing the Kansas City Chiefs, you know that's the case. You know that.
Now, the most shocking thing is that Anthony Richardson, who's the best quarterback anybody's ever seen, not named Josh Ford, the tight end at Oklahoma State. The amazing thing is they're 0-2, and it's so predictable.
Mm-hmm.
The Colts are not good. The Titans are not good. I look at Denver. Did you guys see Bo Nix's answer the other day? Hey, Bo, tell me what happened on that interception. Yeah, I threw it to the wrong guy.
I dropped back and I threw it to the other team. Thanks, Bo.
Next question. Okay, thanks. I threw it to the wrong guy.
You've been in the league like 2 seconds and you're already trolling the media.
Was one of the greatest answer I've ever seen. Hey, Will Levis, what happened in this after the Bears game? Will, what happened? Oh, I made a terrible decision. I've learned from that. It's never going to happen again. You know, I let my emotions get the best of me. 1 week later. Hey, Will, what happened there?
Dude, bad football teams do the same stuff over and over again.
He did it 2 weeks in a row to cost his team again.
I don't know, again, whether it's Philly, whether it's Dallas, like whether it's Tennessee.
Matt Eberflus
and the freaking Bears again. Like, gosh, man, I it's so, and I swear, it used to be we only had this conversation with BYU and Aaron Roderick, but now I have to have it with the Bears, and it drives me nuts. When are you just going to let the kid play his game?
Never.
When are you going to let Caleb Williams turn around on first down, hand it off? If you have success, hand it off on second down. And then on that third play, run some play action. It's not that difficult, man. Like this guy's athletic, can get away from the pass rush, but you've got to put him in better spots.
You can't let him get sacked 7 times. I believe they tried to file a police report against the Texans for assault. The offensive line in Chicago is not good. The defense is amazing. The offensive line is so bad. So bad. Caleb Williams was running for his life. Now, the Texans are an elite defense, and you have hopes, but Caleb Williams is not the problem in Chicago. And 174 yards and 2 picks on 37 throws is not good. But when you get sacked 7 times for 40 yards, I don't even know what you do with that. I mean, I'm terrified for his health.
And it'd be nice if Keenan Allen actually decided to dress up at some point.
Yeah. They're at the Colts. What is that? I guess Sunday. It's at the Colts, and then they come home for a long stretch of the Rams, Panthers, and Jags. So the defenses aren't getting any easier. But I'm not worried about him. Are you guys at all surprised that Carolina benched Bryce Young? I'm a little surprised based on this graphic right here. Now, Ryan Poles, the general manager of the Chicago Bears. I agree, shows up for work with a mask and a gun every day. when he's making trade calls, because I don't know how the hell you thought this was. You got DJ Moore, Darnell Wright. Okay. Tyreek Stevenson's a stud. Caleb Williams, he's, and you still have the Panthers' second round pick this next year. And they've got Bryce Young, who's not their starting quarterback anymore. And
great job, dude.
I mean,
very Danny Ainge of you.
That is, God damn.
All I'm going to say about benching Bryce Young after week 2 is that you're an idiot.
When you said Sunday after the game, he's your quarterback. He's my quarterback.
You're an idiot.
I don't know. I
He's my
think
quarterback.
But can you continue to play him?
No, but the problem is that you said that last week, and the reality is you have Andy Dalton sitting behind him, which for your situation is awesome. Great. Have Andy Dalton start. Let Bryce learn, man.
But he never recovers from this.
Nah.
He never will recover from this.
Well,
You will trade him. He's thrown for 245 yards on the season. No touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 6 sacks, and he completes at 55%. I'm going to say, this is a coaching problem. I'm also going to say that you've run for 148 yards in totality.
It's really unfair.
You're not good.
Yeah.
You're not good. You're not talented, and I don't know what you do with this offense because Bryce Young never recovers from this. And the worst thing that could happen right now is that the Red Rocket gets hurt, that Andy Dalton gets hurt, and you got to put Bryce Young back in the game. And I don't know how. I think Andy Dalton is 54 years old now. And if Carrot Top goes out there and breaks a twig, I don't know what you do because you don't have a backup quarterback.
Nope.
And I understand that you had a very creative draft.
Right.
When you drafted Xavier Liggett and Jonathan Brooks and no offensive lineman, and you went linebacker and tight end and corner and tackle and linebacker and not offensive line. I understand. Who wouldn't want to build around the young quarterback that's struggling?
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
At least my Chicago Bears went out and didn't get an offensive line, but you have one of the best wide receiver cores in the NFL. At least you have Cole Kmet. I mean, he's no
defense.
Cole Kmet's not Josh Ford at Oak State.
No.
Who is the best tight end in all of football anywhere on the planet, Josh Ford?
Swelsey be damned.
But you have a solid, not Josh Ford-like tight end in Cole Kmet. You have good running backs. You have an elite group of wide receivers. Granted, they are in their geriatric states, most of them, and can't play. Other than that, everything's great without an offensive line.
Right.
But I don't know what you do. I'm not sure what you do. Oh, God. Ted Adams.
Oh, man. Wow.
Hot take. Caleb Williams will never take the Bears to the NFC Conference Championship. He's good, but he's not consistent. He's played 2 NFL games with no offensive line. And I love this. He's not consistent, with all due respect, because I don't know you. I have no idea how often you're here, and I appreciate you breathing today. He's had 2 touchdowns dropped, including Keenan Allen at the pylon.
Yeah.
He's played. Caleb Williams is not nearly the problem in Chicago. If you watch the Bears game this weekend, which why would you have? I did. I'm a masochist. He got his ass beat. And every time he got up and every time he threw another ball, and it got better and better. And he's not the problem. He's not the problem. Bears have to have a top 5 defense or it never works. Caleb Williams, every week is going to be a better quarterback. You can see that it's there. You can see it's there. Mike Smith, Ginger's age slower. Andy will be fine. Okay.
Right.
Okay. That's fine. Draft a QB, but not the players that protect him. I mean, that makes total sense.
I mean, the maths, right?
Who are you, the Bears?
Yeah.
Keith Carl, and he won one of those games. He did. And he won, and they won the game because of him. Panthers got a fire-happy owner. Does he clean house at the end of the season again? I doubt it.
Nah.
You need to get an offensively. If you're the Bears, if you look at what they did for Stroud in Texas, in Houston, build something to help the guy. You have to have an offensive line. If you are going to draft Arch Manning in 2 years, have an offensive line.
Because what does he have at Texas?
If you're drafting Caleb Williams, I agree. The Bears at least had a thought process. Are we going to give him offensive line or are we going to give him guys that can house it? Let's give him guys that can house it. I can get down with that. You've got backs who can chip. Caleb gets rid of the football. Okay, great.
It's workable.
But what did you do in Carolina for Bryce Young? None of the above.
And
you
I
traded DJ Moore.
I might add Bryce Young is tiny as well.
I agree. Okay, I know it's early, but taking Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison stock now. Kyler Murray, this is what he's done, though. He's got to play every week. Marvin Harrison looks great.
Yeah, that's kind of what my point was going to be is like, okay, you did it for a week. Show me you can do it again. Show me you can do it consistently.
Justin Lucas, hey, Monty, rumblings of an ACC settlement. I saw that story because we had that several weeks ago. Heard anything? Clemson Insider had the story. We talked about this several weeks ago that the belief is that the judge doesn't want to make a ruling on this because there's no way you can rule in favor of the universities in the ACC situation.
Yeah.
Because you look at the allegations that Florida State has put forward, that there's improprieties with the ESPN agreement, or none of that has come to fruition. And the frustration we talked about earlier in the show with the mounting legal fees, they have been trying to negotiate. When they went to mediation, it was not fruitful. But there have been ongoing, according to people that we have talked to, there have been ongoing talks since it got to mediation. Now, those talks are outside of mediation, but they have been trying to find a way to part as amicably as possible.
Yeah.
They have not yet found that way, but people at Florida State and people in government in Florida want this ended. Their wherewithal has withered, mainly because there has not been positivity. Oh my God, the smoking gun, the ESPN contract. They have done nothing but been demoralized through this process and cut checks to their lawyers. They're into this for a lot of money. Their legal fees are astronomical, and it's over a decade of legal fees.
Yeah, it just like we've been saying for months now. I mean, the money pot is not endless, dude, and at some point it doesn't make sense to continue to pursue it.
And I don't know exactly what the upshot of this is, but I think everybody is waiting. And when you look at you look at the way that this has gone, here it is right here. And I thought that the Brandon Marcello article at CBS, where he pretty much echoed everything that we talked about. Their motion for summary judgment is clearly a tool that they are using to try and get out of this situation. It's the only reason you would make that filing. And again, we said this earlier.
Right.
The judge is in no way, shape, or form legally, ethically able to grant a summary judgment with the publicly known information. And if there had been a hammer for the ACC or for Florida State, we would have known that already because either side would have trumpeted that. You knew as soon as Florida State filed that summary judgment, they were trying to find a parachute. They're trying to get out of this. And it's going to end in one of two ways because the ACC has played hardball. But again, I ask the same thing I said in hour number one. Okay, congratulations. You won. You're out of the ACC. It better not be to go to the Big 12. It just can't be. That's not a win, because you're rebating money at that, because you're not going to make in year one. Is there anybody who thinks that the Big 12 is going to be like, oh yeah, Florida State, let me give you more money than everybody else?
Nope.
Who's going to agree to that? And my bigger question is, okay, you won. Does that collapse the ACC? I don't think it does.
I mean, is Florida State's biggest win, as far as they're concerned, just that they don't have as long of a grants of rights commitment? Is that what?
Yeah,
this
well,
is about?
and that's the thing that I think is I think it's really interesting that we have not gotten finality to is ESPN picking up the option? And are you truly asking to get out of the ACC? Is that what you're truly asking for? Because I can't believe that it is.
Yeah, I just don't understand what that's the trouble. I think publicly is nobody quite understands the point of all of this. Like, okay, I could understand on some level you being upset about not getting into the college football playoff, but there was a logical reason as to why. So at least that was like, okay, kind of get it, but still disagree. This whole thing, I think, has just been a circus. I don't understand what the objective was, because it's not like it'd be different if the Big Ten was like, hey, you get out of the conference, you got an auto invite, or like the SEC, or
can you shorten the grant of rights? Talked to a TV guy a week ago who said if the ACC and all of its members went to ESPN, and really the process would be went to the commissioner, who then went to to ESPN and said, we'd like to align our grant of rights with the Big 12. So that both of them, what would that be? 2031?
I believe that's correct, yes.
So that both of our grant of rights end at 2031. That's good business for ESPN. That's good business. That gets you out of the grant of rights. If you're Florida State and the rest of the ACC, because you won't be locked into 2759 or whatever the year is.
Yeah, 36.
Right. And for ESPN, it's good business. It is better planning business, because an unstable ACC does not give you business stability.
Right.
It actually puts your money at risk. So I think ESPN would be amenable to that. I don't know what they would ask for in return. So this is just theorizing, because again, I know we've talked about this on the show, but all the options that are on the table, not a lot of them make sense for everybody. The only one that makes sense for everybody is keep the conference together and the grant of rights in line with the Big 12 so we can be competitive, and pay Florida State more money. But does this also mean that you're going to pay Clemson more money? Because why would you?
Right.
Because has Clemson really been a boon for you in recent years?
No.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of unknowns. A lot of unknowns. DJ Khaled and ESPN, I think so. I think DJ Khaled has all the answers.
By the way, for all of you Calford back to the Pac-12 folks, I think that's an interesting angle for Calford. And I also think that's why, shortening the grant of rights would be an interesting proposition, because that makes sense for a lot of people, not just the two spurns of the conference backside.
Well, and again, I just want to point out, this isn't up to Jim Phillips and the ACC. It's not up to Florida State and Clemson. Who's ultimately going to make the decision on what happens here?
Oh, that's right. The people you said were cheating you in the agreement. That's
ESPN
right. That's right.
And ABC will make the decision. I don't believe, in my opinion, that Florida State has anywhere else to go, because you can't, not to be redundant, you can't leave the ACC and go to the Big 12.
No, it's got to be the SEC. Like,
you
it just does.
Can't. Ooh, breaking news from CNN. Sean Combs, Diddy, has been charged with racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking He was arrested yesterday and held on unspecific charges.
Yeah.
Non-specific charges. And now it would appear he's probably never getting out of jail.
No.
Sex trafficking is not something you should be.
Nah, he's going to be doing serious time.
I don't think he ever gets out of jail. I don't know how you post bail on racketeering, conspiracy, and racketeering is conspiracy, but on conspiracy and sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Can't say sorry. Don't want to see your tears. Probably shouldn't have murked. Never mind.
Yeah, they've got him. Yeah, they've got him.
This is gonna be tough.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's another one.
Yep.
In the rap battles of yesteryear. Another one. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me. Do we do Chipotle real quick?
Yeah, we can, because I know that you've had a little bit of a run here.
Okay, real quick before we leave.
Yeah.
I've had Chipotle twice in the last week.
Why do you think that is? Just like not
my
just
wife
you...
made me go.
Okay. Okay.
Mrs. Monty made me go.
Okay.
And I had their whatever new brisket thing was, their burrito.
Right.
I had a burrito, brown rice, black beans, brisket, pico.
Surprise, brisket. You're not
amazing.
usually a brisket guy.
Shut up. Amazing.
You know.
Really spicy, but amazing. We went back the other day. Played some golf. Was crabby AF. Went to Chipotle. Now, can I just ask, and of course, I am not a titan of business. So who decided to open at 10:45? Is there a reason you said, not 10:30 and not 11? How about 10:45? I don't understand that. Okay, fine. Walk in, nobody wants to talk to you. Walk in at 10:45. Homie over here eating a bag of Chick-fil-A that works there. Gal over here having a burrito bowl that works there. Okay, they got to eat too, no problem. The Chick-fil-A thing, kind of tacky.
Yeah.
Go up to the counter, nobody's there to serve you. Girl over here filling all the chip bags.
Hey, hi.
No, nothing. Guy behind the grill chopping up all my meat. Nothing.
Jane.
Finally, a girl comes out, puts on some gloves, throws the tortilla on the press, opens it up. It's covered in metal dust. Throws it away, opens another tortilla, wipes the tortilla press with the tortilla, throws it away. Okay, I'm not going to be that turned off. It's fine. Get a burrito, black beans, brown rice. Oh, excuse me, not brown rice. We haven't made any yet. Okay, white rice, double chicken, pico, and the cheese sauce, queso. Excellent. But this is my double-edged sword with Chipotle. Right. Your 13-year-old son doesn't want to be there, and so they're not polite and friendly. And the 17-year-old besties behind the counter don't want to be there.
Right, of course.
The food's usually amazing unless you're getting colon blow out of it, which they've had issues with. But
right,
they don't open till 10:45.
Right. And
now they're going to use robots to serve you.
Yeah, they are going to quote unquote mobilize, basically automating their mobile order situation. So Chipotle, much like many other brands, Cafe Rio, whoever you want to look at, has a whole station dedicated to mobile orders where you go on the app, place a mobile order, cool, boom, bada bing, bada boom. It's in a bag ready for you when you roll up. So Chipotle is going to basically have a situation where they're going to try two things. Number one, they're going to have several stores across the country, starting with Huntington Beach, a store in Huntington Beach. They are going to have a robot that's going to build all those orders, and they're going to see if that helps efficiency. Number two, and this one's a little less like smaller rollout, they're going to have a robot that only only works on prep stuff. So like peeling avocados was one example used in the article, that they're apparently peeling avocados at Chipotle is something that takes
hours,
a ton of labor, which makes sense. I get it. But I was thinking about this and I was like, well, okay, if you don't know how to peel an avocado, you don't actually peel the avocado like you would with like a potato.
And can I just ask, why don't you buy that already done?
Because Chipotle's positioning statement is that they are, fresh, always, making it every day. That's what they're trying to be.
So now a robot's going to make it fresh every day.
Apparently. So
I'm not, if it's a robot, I'm not going. I want a human to roll my burrito. I know.
You need
crazy
to chill out with
talk,
that, bro.
crazy talk. I want a human being to roll my burrito. I don't eat out very often at all.
Right.
When I do, 17-year-old, Kylie needs to roll my burrito because the robot is not going to portion it the way I want. Right? They're not. You're going to walk up to a kiosk. You're going to boop, boop, beep, beep, boop. You're going to pay, and it's going to kick out a burrito down a belt.
Well, it's like, you remember when we went to Tahoe, was that last year or the year before, and we went to that McDonald's, and it was a full automated McDonald's.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, like, what is this, bro? Like, what are we doing?
I don't want robot Fred making my burrito.
Yeah.
I don't. But again, my wife is an amazing cook. Ask JD Vance. Get in the kitchen. Grandma ought to be raising my kids. Anyway, the point is, yes, I am a jerk. The point is, my wife's an amazing cook.
Yes.
Like, she makes the most simple, lovely, and delicious whole foods. Chop up some potatoes and roast them in the oven and eat for a week. It's amazing, right? We'll make some rotisserie chicken or ground turkey. Last night I had eggs and rotisserie chicken with some power waffles for dinner. Why am I eating out? And I continue to go back and I ask this question.
Right.
I love fast food. I'm fat. Fast food is disappointing now.
It is.
Like, there's a Jack in the Box now down the street from my house that I haven't been to but twice.
And why is that? Because the service is trash.
It's just not. And the funny thing is, who knew when you don't eat out, you thin out, you lose weight?
Yep.
Not rocket science.
Yeah, man.
And
it
the problem is when you eat out, it is expensive and it is not good. Usually the experience is not good.
Completely agree.
And you're not going to catch me ever eating at McDonald's. I saw some stuff on what their artificial ingredients are. I'll never eat at a McDonald's again. You are not going to catch me generally at a fast food place. Even as bad as my French fry addiction is, I'm not doing it. So Chipotle, at least I believe, colon blow aside, uses Whole Foods.
Right.
Which is why I can talk myself into eating there. And if it's going to be stupid robot bro making my burrito, I'm not even going to be able to talk myself into eating there.
Yeah. And so you wind up staying home, and then we wonder why we're at home all the time. So there you go.
My wife said to me the other day that we don't laugh enough. Because we don't generally go out. Like, I'm going to the symphony on Saturday. I went to Hamilton a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
We went to a wedding a couple of weeks ago. And the truth is, we're home a lot. We're home a lot. We've turned into this society, I feel like, where I never leave the house. I work at home. I play golf at home now because I have this thing in my backyard that I've set up. Like, I never leave the house. I have to force myself to leave the house during the week.
Right.
Honest to God, yesterday didn't leave the house. Today, don't have a plan that will take me into the car to leave the house. I just don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's society we've turned into. And it's odd to me, but I think it just is what it is.
It is. The pandemic changed things, and we're dealing with that now.
And it is true. I don't have any desire to, I don't know, where do people go? I rarely go to concerts. The symphony this weekend, I'm looking forward to that.
You're not like a social butterfly kind of person. You're not that person that's, like looking for that
especially not during an election cycle.
Right. Yeah.
Like when we were in Hawaii last summer, people sitting, we're at the pool, floating in the pool, and these people are sitting around talking about politics and how amazing Donald Trump is. And I'm not interested in talking to you about politics because it never ends well.
No, it doesn't.
Right. So the best experience I've had lately was probably going to Hamilton and then having dinner at Ruth's Chris. But how often do I want to pay $200 for dinner?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like,
again, especially when you can make that caliber of food at home.
I'm not the net result is not generally worth my time. That's the problem. Had a good time at that wedding, had a good time but even in Boston at the Foo Fighters concert. It's just, I feel like I've turned into old man on my porch.
Well, I think the thing for you is like, I think it would be, obviously with how much you love golf and, that whole thing that's kind of come into your life. Like, I think, I think for you to be more social, it's not going to be around like food per se, or like, a bar or something, like a traditional situation. It would be like around golf or something that you liked doing. And it's more of a thing where I feel like, finding good people to golf with consistently is hard to do because most people don't golf consistently.
And I played like this weekend. I played with people. I golfed with people, and it was fun. It was fun. I'm good with it, but it's hard to find. Like golf leagues are interesting. I'd love to every Thursday night go play 9 holes with Kevin and the guys at Canyons. But golf courses don't allocate time like that. They don't allocate time like that. It doesn't work that way. That's the hard part. So anyway, I just think the going out to eat thing used to be such a big part of our society, and it's just been destroyed.
Yeah.
Amongst a lot of things that the pandemic changed, that's one of the things.
Well, there's nothing like it either. I feel like there's not an easy replacement for that. It's not like it was an easy button. Hey, like, well, let's all go out to dinner and we'll have some nice conversations and enjoy some good food. And if you like to drink, great, have a drink. Like, but that's not the case.
And Fat Jesus isn't wrong. As you all hit the like button here on YouTube, yeah, you're right. I've been an old man on the porch for years.
But a question
true.
to that though, like, I don't disagree you trend that way, but I don't think that you're somebody who's like, it's not like you're trying to stay home. It's not like you live day to day and you're like, oh, I'm staying home today. Like, that's not really what it is. It's what it more is, hey, the pandemic happens and now everything in your existence in the day to day has been forced to turn into, work from home, work out at home, like literally everything has been pushed home because of what we had to go through. And so now it's like unwinding that watch just simply doesn't make sense from an efficiency standpoint. So
it doesn't.
So I don't disagree with this comment that, yeah, hey, maybe he trends towards, old man on my porch guy, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't, easily say, yeah, I'd love to go out. And I feel like the golfing with Kevin and the guys thing it is much like dating. Like, finding a good group of dudes to golf with or people to golf with is hard. You have to go out and play
difficult.
a bunch of rounds with absolute buffoons who you don't enjoy golfing with before you find some people that are like, yeah, I'd golf with you again.
But that's why you have to go on golf trips. That's why you have to. I've always kept a small circle, but like the number of people in my life I would golf with is probably a dozen max.
Maybe.
And most people I know don't play but once or twice a year. Like my neighbor's been asking me to go play golf. He plays once a year. And I wish I had a larger circle of people who are like, hey, let's meet in Vegas. Let's meet in Banff. Let's meet in Florida.
See, and I think for you, like,
I would do that.
You would have, but that's not just going to show up. And I think that's the hard part with our society now. Like, because whether it's you with golf or someone else with pickleball or, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, you don't just run into it anymore. You don't just run into someone at a concert or the bar or whatever strike up a conversation and you know, all of a sudden you're neck deep in what your handicap is this year versus what it was last year. That doesn't happen anymore, generally speaking. And so for you, like and for everybody, I think you have to go out and seek it out. Like you have to go and say, okay, cool. Like I'm going to be fine with the idea that, hey, I'm going to go and play in this men's league or whatever, and try to find some people who golf more regularly that I can, you know, get along with on some level socially. That's the hard part with golf, is like the worst thing you can do is play with someone or golf with someone who talks the entire round. Like,
yeah, a buddy of mine and I are texting about that right now. It's really difficult to find people who play golf the way you like to play golf.
Yeah.
Like I like, when I'm playing golf, I like talking about golf. I also like talking about food, and I like talking about this or that. I play music when I play golf. I play better when I play music. And I think that there's a lot of people who if you're going to play golf, please do not talk on your cell phone. It drives me. We played with a guy earlier this summer.
Yeah.
Just a rando who was not capable of playing from the tips, but he's going to the black tees, drinking 2 beers a hole, and talking on his phone constantly.
What kind of golf I want to play.
Walking all over the green, talking on his phone.
Yeah.
That's not who I am when I play golf. I'm not interested in that. I'm not. And I like having a good time. I've learned to control my mentals when I'm playing golf. And
yeah, I would agree with that.
It's just one of those things where I'm not the guy. If you're going to be on your phone, stay in the car, dude. Stay in the car. And it makes me crazy. Mike Smith, yeah, wife got Pizza Hut the other day. It was terrible. Oh my God, pizza sucks.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's a good pizza from mom and pops. It's what I always say about Papa Murphy's. If I'm going to order pizza, it's going to be from Papa Murphy's. But pizza's so bad for you most of the time.
Yeah.
Papa Murphy's is the only place you can order it from. Because if you're getting like, I don't know how people eat pizza at Costco. Pizza at Costco is disgusting. It is the grease that you have to wring out of that piece of pizza.
Yeah.
I'm out. But again, I love hot dogs. I don't eat hot dogs anymore. I'm at this point in my life where I'm a wreck. I let's just call it what it is. I'm neurotic about food. Like the other day, we're playing golf and I'm like emotional all of a sudden. Like I'm 51 years old.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be 52. And I'm like, am I going through male, like emotional hormonal changes? Like there are just some times where I just get like the dog farts and I get emotional about it.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like I'm in this season of my life where everything's a grind right now. Everything's a grind. Everything's a grind. Got through like even doing my taxes. I lost sleep over my taxes this year. Like, make too much money. You didn't make enough money. You don't have enough write-offs. Hey, over here, over there, or down there. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, everything's a grind for me right now. And I feel like there's a big part of, and my wife is totally not somebody that believes in this, but I feel like I'm just out of alignment. The universe is a step ahead of me.
Uh-huh.
And actually, I feel like I'm that guy right now in my life that keeps trying to make a lane change because that lane looks faster, but it's actually slower. Like that's what I feel like in my life right now. Everything's a grind, and I'm just having to go through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a learning experience. I don't know how else to describe it. And this golf thing or friends thing or stay home thing, like it's not that I want to isolate,
right?
But that's just what we've become. Like there was a cat near my house playing with his kid. And I'm like just enjoying the song of his kid chasing this ball around my yard.
Yeah.
It's the little things like that I take enjoyment in.
Mm-hmm.
If I could never work another day in my life, I wouldn't. I hate everything I'm doing work-wise right now. This 3 hours is about the only thing I enjoy right now.
Right.
Right. Like it's wild to me.
Well, and I think a lot of people are feeling that. I mean, I think
guess
that, I think what's hard is that I don't know. This is just my perspective on it. I think that what's hard is that going out and socializing no longer is just a fun activity. Like I think, and I think there's a ton of things that go in with it, least of which is the political stuff. Like I think it's hard to find people who like for you, take golf as seriously as you do, but then have the ability to have a leisurely conversation. Like there are so many times when I play with you and we play with a rando, or if I'm just playing with a rando, where I'm like, dude, like, you don't understand how golf works, right? And maybe this is us being assholes about it. I don't know. But I feel like it's pretty easy to understand. Hey, when you're looking at the shot, when it comes time to resume the round, if you will, let's stop talking. I'm considering the shot I want to play, what club to hit, what the conditions are, like all that stuff that goes into hitting a good golf shot. I'm not trying to hear about whatever it is you're talking about. But then, like, another good example, when we're on the green, you're trying to tell me about how you chunked your iron back there, and that's not something I'm necessarily interested in talking about. You want to talk about how to run aim point. You want to talk about like what this putt's going to do. Cool, let's do that. But I think a lot of people, like with golf, is one of those sports where it's not just like football where you're just throwing it around your yard and there's no nuance.
It's mindless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Golf is not mindless.
Yeah. There's a lot of like nuance and things in it. And so I think it's fortunate, but unfortunate, because golf has been a great thing for you, right? You've talked about on the show so many times that you love how much exercise it gives you. You love the therapeutic nature of it, being outside and really enjoying the elements. Like, but man, I'm telling you, it's hard to find people who golf with regularity.
I don't know. I'm probably making too much out of it. I think I'm just at a stage in my life where I'm a grinder. I like working right now. That's not where my mind is. And it's just one of those things where you have to get back to, you have to get back to the grind. And I think at some point we've got to do what we enjoy doing more and figure out how to do that and how to make money doing that. And we've talked about this 100 times. Like right now I'm in an advertising market that is super aggressive. And it's weird because it shouldn't be super aggressive. And I get people that DM me all the time. Hey, want to advertise on the show? Want to talk about this? Here's $5. And it just galls me that people are like, oh, well, here's $5. I had a guy the other day say to me, well, not that I should probably divulge this, but here's $500 a month. I want you to put our logo in the middle of your wall wrap.
What?
I want you to put our logo in the middle of your wall wrap. Here's $500.
If you think that 200,000 plus views a month on average is worth $500, again, I don't know. See, and this is the hard part too, and I know we got to go, but I think that people just don't have a great grip on value.
But that's not everybody. Yeah, it's just, we're just in a very different time. And as somebody that sells advertising on a regular basis, I am amazed how if so many people have money and they just think that they should get things for free. Like that's something that I've gone through a lot lately. Oh, I have the money. I just don't want to give it to you. Okay. And then when you're like, all right, cool. Well, I appreciate that. And I wish you the best of luck. They're like, you're really not going to, like this cat with this logo on the wall. It's like, you're really not going to. No,
I'm not.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. As somebody that has built a business and we do, again, 200,000 views a month in Utah. No, I'm not taking $500 to put your logo in the middle of my wall. No, I'm not doing that. Sorry. Not interested. But I wish you luck. And he got all upset about it.
Don't understand that.
Is it, again, is what it is, right? Like it's just one of those things where I don't know how you.
And that's funny. That sentiment bleeds into golf and like other things.
And if you knew the business, if you would laugh your ass off if I said to you, hey, this is the business and it's a brand. This is the business, $500. You would laugh your ass off.
Can't do it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't do it.
not doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure I'll get over it. I just think it's interesting. And it's one of the things that is so interesting. It's one of the reasons I got my testosterone checked, by the way. Because I'm curious. My testosterone's great. I can't even get people to talk to me about testosterone therapy.
People won't talk to you.
They won't even do it.
Yeah.
They won't even talk to me about it. But it's just very interesting that I think my sister-in-law always says it's a season. Maybe I'm just in a different season in my life. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just in a different season. I have no idea. Tomorrow will be a different season on the show. I'm sure we'll have more because I'm sure the Pac-12 is going to piss somebody off.
Yeah, they always do.
As always, the Monty Show is presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Hook it up. You can chat with an injury attorney live online, and it won't cost you a dime. 24/7, 365. It's theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.